Jimin stole the spotlight during BTS's 2026 comeback. Purple Circle intro, hook, midnight to 0:45. Open on dramatic music. Show clips of Gwangwoman Square lit up at night. Crowd screaming. Purple glow sticks everywhere. Narrator, energetic, building. What happens when the world's biggest boy band comes back after nearly 4 years of silence, and one member completely steals the entire show? Cut to Jimin in long blonde hair, black tweed jacket, under the spotlights of Gwangwoman Square. Hundreds of thousands of fans flooded the streets of Seoul. Millions more were glued to their screens on Netflix. The whole world held its breath. And then, Jimin stepped forward. Beat drop. Music intensifies. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because today we are talking about the moment everyone is still replaying, rewatching, and screaming about. We're talking about how Park Jimin, already one of the most decorated soloists in K-pop history, walked into BTS's 2026 comeback and reminded the entire world why he is simply on another level. This is the story of how Jimin stole the spotlight at the biggest K-pop comeback of the century. Let's get into it. Purple Circle Part 1. The comeback that shook the world, 0:45 to 4 o'clock. B-roll, aerial shots of Gwangwoman Square, fans lining up, newspaper headlines. To understand just how massive this moment was, we have to zoom out and look at the big picture first. March 20th, 2026. BTS dropped Arirang, their 5th full studio album, and it was nothing short of historic. Named after the most beloved traditional Korean folk song, the album carried the weight of reunion, resilience, and return. The title itself, Arirang, is a centuries-old melody associated with emotions of connection, distance, and coming home. And for BTS, it couldn't have been more fitting. The album moved nearly 4 million copies in its very first day. Not weeks, one day. The economic ripple was so enormous that financial analysts estimated BTS's comeback could generate at least 2.9 trillion Korean won, roughly $1.93 billion, potentially rivaling Taylor Swift's legendary Eras Tour earnings. Then came March 21st, 2026. The night everything exploded. Transition, shots of Gwangwoman Gate lit in rainbow colors, the ceremonial stage. BTS staged a free public concert at Gwangwoman Square, one of South Korea's most historic landmarks, set directly in front of the majestic Gyeongbokgung Royal Palace. The symbolism was breathtaking. This was the palace of Korean kings, and BTS were returning as the undisputed kings of K-pop. Only 22,000 lucky fans scored golden tickets to the official viewing zone. But that didn't stop the crowds. An estimated 104,000 people packed the surrounding area, with predictions of up to 260,000 fans making it what many are calling the largest public concert in South Korean history. The entire concert was live-streamed globally on Netflix, reaching millions more in real time. RM opened with the words, "Annyeonghaseyo, we're back," and the crowd erupted like a volcano. After nearly 4 years of military service, BTS were finally, completely, undeniably back. But among all 7 members who emerged dressed in outfits inspired by early Joseon-era generals, one person made the world stop and rewind. And that person was Jimin. Purple Circle Part 2. The moment Jimin walked onto that stage, 4 to 8 o'clock. Slow motion edit. Jimin stepping onto the Wooldae ceremonial stage. Long blonde hair catching the light. Let's talk about what happened the second Jimin appeared. He came out wearing long, dyed blonde hair, a look that immediately sent social media into absolute chaos. That hair alone became a talking point. But it wasn't just the hair. It was the entire package. His outfit was a masterclass in fashion storytelling. Designed by luxury label Songzio, the look was inspired by the concept of a poet, and every single detail meant something. He wore a minimalist white inner top paired with a layered jacket that reinterpreted the flowing elegance of hanbok, Korea's traditional garment, while incorporating bold East Asian aesthetics. The cropped black silhouette had a subtle shimmer and a fringed hem that created ethereal, graceful movement every time he danced. The cropped short bag and wide pants, a subtle but deliberate nod to traditional Korean clothing, completed the look with a perfect balance of tradition and modernity. This wasn't just a costume. This was a statement. And when Jimin started performing, The internet completely lost its mind. Reaction montage, fan clips, Twitter/X trending screenshots, news headlines. Within hours of the concert, terms like Lion Jimin King, Baby Lion Jimin, Bukchong Lion Jimin, and the girl with blonde hair were all trending in real time across South Korea and the United States simultaneously. Social media was overwhelmed. Fans were writing things like, "I'm suffering from Jimin every day after watching the Gwangwoman performance," and "I even bought concert tickets after watching on Netflix." One publication flatly stated, "If there's one visual takeaway from the entire night, it was Jimin's long, dyed blonde hair." But here's what makes this more than just a fashion or visual moment. It's what Jimin said to the crowd. He stood before hundreds of thousands of fans and said, "We finally met. It makes me emotional to be able to say it in front of you. I missed you. I didn't know you would fill Gwangwoman Square, but I'm so grateful. All 7 of us standing on the stage together makes me so happy." Simple words, but delivered by Jimin. Every single person in that square, and every single person watching on Netflix at 4 in the morning in a different time zone, felt it in their chest. This is what Jimin does. He performs. He looks incredible. And then he makes 260,000 strangers cry at the same time. Purple Circle Part 3. The Jimin Effect. Why the numbers don't lie. 8 to 1300 hours. Transition. Infographic-style text animations showing chart numbers. Now let's talk about something that makes Jimin's spotlight moment even more extraordinary. Because what he did at the Gwangwoman concert didn't happen in isolation. It was the culmination of years of relentless work and history-making achievements. Let's go back. When BTS first went on hiatus in 2022, each member pursued solo projects. And while every member delivered incredible work, Jimin's solo journey was on a level that changed the entire conversation about K-pop soloists in Western music markets. In March 2023, he released his debut solo album, Face, a raw, vulnerable exploration of identity and pressure. The lead single, Like Crazy, and Like Crazy didn't just chart. It made history. Jimin became the first Korean solo artist to reach #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with that song. Think about that for a second. BTS as a group had hit #1 multiple times, but no Korean solo artist had ever done it, until Jimin did it with Like Crazy. But he wasn't done. In 2024, he dropped his second solo album, Muse, and the lead single, Who, went on to dominate the Billboard Global 200 and the Billboard Global XL US charts, both for 2 consecutive weeks. This made Jimin the only BTS member to top all 3 of these major charts with different solo songs. Let that sink in. 2 completely different songs, 2 completely different chart cycles, 3 different major charts, both topped. No other Korean solo artist had done this. The achievements kept stacking. Like Crazy earned a platinum certification from the RIA, making it only the second solo single by a Korean artist to ever achieve that, right after PSY's Gangnam Style. It was also named one of the most performed songs of the year at the BMI London Awards 2024, making it only the second K-pop song ever to receive that honor, the first being BTS's own Dynamite. The Recording Academy listed Like Crazy as one of 15 K-pop songs that defined 2023. And even now, in 2026, that song refuses to stop. After Jimin's comeback performance at Gwangwoman, his old Pixid YouTube video from 2023, a fan interaction episode where he went undercover in a fan group chat, surged back and hit 10 million views on the channel, the first and only video on that channel to ever reach that milestone. That's the Jimin effect in real time. When Jimin performs, old content gets rewatched. New content breaks records. Streaming numbers spike. Tour tickets sell out. It's a phenomenon that cannot be manufactured. It has to be earned. And Jimin has earned every single bit of it. Purple Circle Part 4. The solo era that prepared him for this moment. 13 to 1730. Montage. Clips of Jimin's Face album promotions. Muse era. Vogue Korea covers. Here's something that gets lost in the headline numbers though. The human story behind Jimin's rise. Before the group went on hiatus, Jimin was already considered one of BTS's most magnetic performers. But going solo meant he had to carry an entire stage by himself. No 7-member unit to share the energy with. No group choreography to anchor him. Just Jimin, a mic, and a massive expectation. And he was honest about how challenging that felt. In a 2026 Rolling Stone interview ahead of the Arirang World Tour, Jimin reflected on what his solo career taught him. He said, "What I learned through my solo career is a certain mindset. I think I learned to be less afraid with my songwriting. Thanks to that experience, when I got to work on this new group album, I wasn't afraid to ask questions, and I did my best to keep trying." His fellow member V put it more simply. Jimin's range is vastly superior. Coming into 2026, Jimin was also making fashion history before the concert even happened. He appeared on 7 different covers of Vogue Korea's February 2026 issue, a record-breaking achievement for a single artist in one issue. Themed The Sound of Now, the shoot featured Jimin exclusively in Dior, leaning into what critics described as a dreamlike beauty that highlighted his brilliant delicacy. 7 covers, 1 magazine issue, 1 artist. That's not a PR move. That's a statement from the fashion industry itself. Jimin is a fashion force that cannot be ignored. So when he walked onto that Gwangwamun stage on March 21st with his long blonde hair, his poet-inspired Songzeo outfit, and years of solo growth behind him, he wasn't just BTS's Jimin anymore. He was a fully realized global star who had come home to play on the biggest stage in K-pop history. And he made sure every single camera, every single eye, every single moment knew it. Purple Circle Part 5. What comes next? The Arirang World Tour, 1730 to 2100 hours. Transition. World map animation showing tour dates across continents. And here's the thing. This was only the beginning. On April 9th, 2026, BTS officially kicked off their Arirang World Tour with hometown shows at Goyang Stadium in South Korea. The tour was originally announced with 82 dates across 34 regions in 5 continents. Tickets to every announced show sold out almost immediately. Additional dates have already been added in Tampa, Stanford, and Las Vegas, and more cities in Japan, the Middle East, and beyond are expected to be announced. This tour is BTS's first full-scale world tour since the Permission to Dance on Stage series back in 2021 to 2022. The scale is historic. Analysts believe it could generate hundreds of millions of dollars per quarter in revenue alone. And for Jimin specifically, the Arirang World Tour represents an opportunity that fans have been dreaming about, the chance to hear his solo hits performed on a global stadium stage. Billboard's Dream Setlist feature specifically called out Jimin getting his own solo section during the tour. Envision a medley featuring Like Crazy and Who's seamlessly woven into the BTS setlist. For fans who missed his solo performances, this tour is everything. On January 1st, 2026, Jimin posted a note to fans with 6 words that said it all. The year we've been waiting for has finally arrived. He wasn't wrong. He was just getting started. Purple Circle Part 6. The bigger picture, what Jimin's moment means, 21 to 2400 hours 30. Slower pace, reflective tone. I want to zoom out one more time, because I think it's important to talk about what Jimin's spotlight moment at the 2026 BTS comeback actually means beyond the viral clips and trending hashtags. BTS came back to a K-pop landscape that had changed dramatically since their hiatus. New groups had emerged, new trends had taken over, and there was a very real question. Would BTS still be relevant? Would the audience still be there? The answer was 104,000 people at Gwangwamun Square and millions on Netflix worldwide. But more than just their numbers, BTS showed that their identity had deepened. The members who went off and pursued solo careers didn't fragment the group, they made it stronger. They came back as more complete artists, more confident individuals, more capable of carrying the weight of a reunion album with real substance. And Jimin's solo journey, the record-breaking Hot 100 #1, the RIA Platinum, the BMI Award, the Vogue covers, the 7-cover Vogue issue, the ongoing Jimin effect on streaming and views. All of that lived experience is now inside his BTS performances. When he sings an Arirang track, he brings the artistry of Face and Muse with him. When he dances, he brings the stage confidence of a man who has stood on platforms alone and held audiences in the palm of his hand. That's why the spotlight finds him so naturally. It's not just talent, it's growth. Professor Hae-Jin Lee of USC Annenberg called the Gwangwamun concert the comeback of the century. And within that comeback, Jimin carved out a chapter that belongs entirely to him. Purple Circle Outro, 2400 hours 30, 26:00. Energetic closing music, show final concert highlights. So let's bring it home. BTS returned in 2026 with Erarang, an album built on reunion, resilience, and the unbreakable bond between 7min and their fans. They performed at one of the most iconic public spaces in South Korea, in front of hundreds of thousands of people, live-streamed to the world. And in the middle of all that history, Jimin stepped onto that stage with his long blonde hair, his Songzio poet jacket, and 3 years of solo artistry behind him. And he reminded everyone why some artists simply cannot be contained. The trending hashtag said it. The viral clip said it. The Pixid 10 million views said it. The 7 Vogue covers said it. The Billboard Hot 100 #1 said it. Park Jimin is, without question, one of the most complete performers of his generation. And the Erarang era? It's only just begun. If you love this video, hit that like button, drop a comment telling me your favorite Jimin moment from the Gwangwoman concert. And make sure you subscribe because we have a lot more BTS and K-pop content coming your way. Until next time, stay in your Jimin era. You're welcome. Outro music, BTS logo animation.